Hi there, thank you for joining me. My name is Susie Powers, and I'm going to go through a corrective color consultation today. You can see on my page I have a couple different consultations. As a hairdresser, there's so many different avenues. You know, we go along the route of a consultation, but based on the service, we all kind of direct ourselves, you know, through a different line of questioning depending on which service. And so for me, with a corrective consultation, there are quite a few things that I do differently. And so I'm going to show you what I do, and hopefully this will help you guys behind the chair in your salons. So first and foremost, I go to the base of, question number one, what can I do for you today? When we're dealing with corrective consultations, corrective colors, for me, what I have noticed is that the majority of the people that are corrective situation don't realize it and just book for whatever, whatever appointment in the salon. And so I have somebody with an appointment for a color, or somebody with an appointment for a highlight, or maybe they came in for a consultation, but that never seems to be the scenario. It always seems to be that they book for a color, or that they book for, a highlight. And really what happens is they've put color all over their head and they want to strip it out. Or they are really, really light, really blonde, maybe inconsistent, maybe with some funky color, and they want to go back to their natural. It's either one way or the other, and it's a situation. So here are my questions and how I go through a corrective situation. First and foremost, what can I do for you today is the question I ask. What can I do for you today really gets you to understand the human being that's sitting in your chair. Because what you can do for them today is going to be a variety of things. Make me feel younger, make my hair look normal, make me feel, fresh and on trend, make me just be relevant. I've had people, make me feel youthful, make me not look saggy and old, make me not look like white trash. I had a lady tell me that the other day. She had been embracing some box color at home during COVID. So what can I do for you today really is a direction for you to understand, what does the human being in your chair need? Does she need some love? Does he need some focus on what's going on? Do they need attention onto the inconsistency with the color? Okay. Next question, how often do you color your hair? And when was your last color? It's so important. I need to know everything about it. And my next, questions are, was it professionally colored? So did they color it 3 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago? Do they color it a lot? Was it professionally colored, or were we doing it in the bathroom at home? Because that's going to tell me just on application. Clients can get stuff all over now, professional products online. It's been a little scary, some of the stuff I've had to fix. But with that said, I'm not concerned so much what product they used at home, although I need to be aware. I'm more concerned with the application. For typical people doing it on themselves at home, if they're doing it, I know that this area is going to be really overworked because they can reach this area. I know the back area is going to have inconsistent application. So that's one thing, when you're paying attention to it. If somebody highlighted at home, what product did they use and how long did it stay on, and what's going on the mid-length and ends as far as quality. So I definitely want to know, when was your last color? Was it professionally colored? How often do you highlight your hair? Was that professionally done? When was your last highlight? This is all giving me direction on what's going on in the hair. For my corrective color clients, it's very rare that I get a client that has hair, above the shoulder and very layered that needs a corrective scenario. That is very rare. And why is that any point? Because short hair that hasn't been on the head but 6 months to a year, or maybe a year and a half, that's nothing compared to long hair down past the collarbone, past the bra strap, mid-waist, that's been on the hair 3 years or more. When you have hair that's been on the head for 2, 3, 4 years, how many highlights did it get? How many layers of color did it get? Have we been spraying some sun in on the hair? I know my daughter and every friend of hers was doing that last year. spraying it all over COVID times. They're at the river. I look over, I'm like, what are you guys spraying? Get that, you know. Oh yeah, everybody was spraying some Sunbum on there. So what's on the head? 3-year-old, you know, really, did they highlight their hair and then color and tone it away? Were they a blonde last spring and then they did a nice rich, you know, autumn color and they changed things and it's a beautiful chestnut now? Did they forget there was a highlight on their hair? I also want to know, have they relaxed or straightened their hair? You know, did they get a keratin treatment in the last couple of years? Did they get a relaxer? Did they get a perm? I mean, these are all questions. I want to get an understanding of how many chemicals are on the hair from roots to ends. And when you get going on, okay, my last color was 4 weeks ago. My last highlight was in September. I haven't done any. I did a keratin smoothing over a year ago. Then you know the kind of spending they do in the salon. You know their habits. You also know their level of education as far as what services we offer. Those are all really important, really good things to know. It gets me a little bit closer to formulating who the person is in my chair and exactly, you know, how I can direct them and where I can guide their look and take from the trends that are going on right now and really guide their look and take the service where I want to take it with this corrective scenario. When was your last haircut is also another one we need to know. I need to know, you know, do we trim our ends consistently? Are we dusting those off, or do we do a huge chemical service, cut off what needs to cut off, and then we don't do anything with our hair for months at a time? So important to understand the behaviors. So important to understand, you know, how they really put their salon time into their lifestyle. How much length are you comfortable cutting off today? Based on what they're coming in for. So I have some clients that come in and, you know what, I know we had highlights underneath and then we did this rich, beautiful, you know, color over the top. I want some highlights back in. I want to get some dimension going on. How much do we have to take off? You know, I get that a lot. But really looking at, you know, if we're going to be highlighting, you know, how much of this is going to be dry, weak, brittle? You know, this has old balayage on it and color over the top and gloss over the top and it's natural curl and I iron curl it. So it's like, if we go lifting this up again with lightener, I'm going to need some layers. I'm going to need to bring that length up. And we need to be as honest as possible with our clients, you know, and if you can't answer, is that the time that we want to do, you know, a packet in an area that, so we can see what's going to happen. And she can make more of a informed decision and you can really know how the hair is going to react to the chemical. And it might cause you to do a treatment before or make a different route with what product you might use, you know? So that might be an avenue, you know, when you're looking at, I don't want to cut off as much as I think we're going to have to cut off. How much length are you comfortable cutting off? How often do you shampoo and treatment your hair? This again speaks to the regimen, how the client takes care of her hair, how the client takes care of her salon visits, what service we're doing at home as far as treatments, and what services we come in for as far as treatments and cuts and whatnot. What products do you use? I want to know what shampoo, what treatment, what daily conditioners, you know, what are they using on their hair? It's going to give me an idea of how it's been repaired and restored and what we might need to purchase and what we might need to do here in the salon on the day of the service. Do you use styling tools daily? It's important for my hairdresser to know that I iron curl every day. Even if I don't color my hair every day, I iron curl it. I have to reset it. I braid my hair at night and then I take it out, and in the morning, it doesn't always obviously look like this, so I've got to reset it. So do you iron curl? Do you flat iron every day? Do you have a temperature gauge on that flat iron and on that curling iron? Really important to know if they've got a temperature gauge. You want to make sure that the client in your chair knows not to burn their hair. You know, they shouldn't have their flat iron on the hottest temperatures. So that's an important discussion for you two to have. You know, if you see any burning or any areas of the hair that are really looking overworked due to thermal styling. The next two are pretty interesting, and I'll tell you, in the beginning of my career, I did not ask, but I do now. Have you had any surgeries recently? And are you on any major medications? Now, I'm not one to pry in people's life, and it's certainly none of my business. And I will tell you that I've had clients lie to me and not answer. But what I do when I'm asking these questions is I go immediately in with why I'm asking. First of all, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that are personal, and you certainly don't have to tell me. I'm going to explain why I'm asking you. I'm going to ask you if you've had any surgeries recently and if you're on any major medications, because if you've had a surgery recently in the last few months, there is hair loss that connects to a lot of major surgeries. And so it's important that we discuss that now. Have you noticed any hair loss? Have you noticed your hair getting thinner? Because I want to bring that up before we do the chemicals so that I don't make it sound like an excuse at the end of the service, right? It's so much more important to bring everything up in the beginning before we get started so that everything's on the table. We're making a sound decision and we're looking at all the elements that may affect our service today. And I don't ever want it to look like I'm at the shampoo bowl now seeing hair fried and falling out and all this damage happening. And then I say, well, have you had a surgery lately? Well, if you've had a surgery lately, that's why this is happening. That's terrible, and nobody's going to believe you. You cannot bring stuff up at the shampoo bowl or at the end of the service that you didn't address in the beginning. It makes it look like your fault. It makes it look like you're trying to place blame somewhere and that you're chasing something. It's not good. And as a hairdresser, I've done it. It's a horrible feeling. You don't want to be that way. You want to have a nice, thorough, open consultation so that you can get to the bottom of all these elements and really make a sound decision with your client so that she or he or they know that you're informed and you've got the education behind it, and there's reasons for asking if they had surgery. Medication. Why? Because everything we take internally comes out on our skin, nail, and hair. So I need to know if we've got heavy medications. If you go back to beauty school days, remember when we were in beauty school and we'd have that little old lady that had heart medication and her hair would turn purple with the perm, or lung medication and her hair would have a green or a kind of a weird, dark, muddy hue to it. That's the medication coming out. That's it sweating out through the chemical. And so it makes things more resistant. It makes it more difficult. I will say that on street drugs, that also affects the hair. If you've ever had that weird, hot packet when you're foiling, that hot chemical reaction when you haven't used any heat, that's something sweating out in the hair. Weird color, look at me doing this. In the foil, the liquid that comes to the bottom of the foil, there's a yellow liquid, or the hair lifts very odd, like Gatorade. Botox. Some of my clients that get Botox, that makes the packet really hot or makes the hair lift this weird Gatorade yellow. So that was interesting to learn too. And that was, of course, me prying and saying, have you had any surgeries? Have you had any medications? And she was like, well, no, just my Botox. I'm like, okay. And so then it started making sense on my other clients that I assumed had Botox due to a beautiful, no facial expression. That's what that weird tone or the liquid coming out was. So, sometimes we're learning just through doing it all and seeing it and situation. For me, it's really important to understand if we'd had surgery or medication, because I want to make sure that we're both on the same page about, if there's going to be something that's going to create resistancy, or if there's something that might have made the hair more fragile prior to getting started. Very important elements to get to the bottom of. And then ultimately, when you're in the consultation for a corrective scenario, images, pictures. I want to understand what their natural level is. I want to understand what their desired level, what's their desired look? Are they looking to be from blonde to brown? Are they wanting to be from black hair? They want to strip it up and be blonde again. They want to take the black hair color off and be their regular brown again. I need to have a picture of what their desired image is so that I have a really strong understanding of where they want to go. And for me, understanding what their natural level, what their natural tone, looking at their skin tone. Are they cool or warm skin tone? What's going to work with that? For those clients that have acne or ruddy areas that come out more red, or those clients that have a little more dark circle under their eye, if what I'm going to do with the color is going to detract, take away from that at all, I need to make sure I have my makeup artist with me at my station immediately. If you are the artist that's going to be talking about that, that's something that you want to talk about in the beginning. So for me, when I am talking to my clients and she is telling me, you know what, Susie, I want to be really light, I want to be really blonde and really warm, and I see some redness that I feel like is going to take away from the tone, I need to talk to her about it and say, listen, okay, you want to be blonde and you want to be a warmer blonde. Your desire is not for more of a Nordic or cooler blonde, which would suit the tones that are coming out in the skin a little softer and a little better. If we're looking for something warmer, what I want you to do, what we're going to need to do is get with our makeup artist and really get a nice soft foundation that's going to work to counteract the redness that I'm seeing that's coming out, and will really come out if I put a warm blonde on there. So I want to make sure that what I add to your hair isn't going to take away from your skin tone or your overall look. That's how I state it. And it's important that they understand you're on their side. I want my clients to be beautiful. I want them to feel beautiful. That's my billboard walking around. So if I'm going to be listening to what her desired overall look is, and I'm concerned with how that's going to make dark circles or bring out something in their skin tone that's not going to be the best, I need to talk to her about that. And we need to get on the same page. You know, and if it's mascara and foundation and lipstick that I need to help her with, then great. I'm in the beauty industry. I'm happy to be a part of that. So important to discuss. So important. In the corrective scenario, what natural level, what desired level, realistically, am I going to be able to achieve? You know, let's say I'm taking black hair color out and she wants to be a medium blonde with some soft dimensional highlights. There is no way that I'm going to achieve that in one visit. Absolutely no way. I've 30 years of the hair industry. Nope, I'm not going to be able to do that in one visit. I might be able to get a really good direction. I might be able to get on the route, but I would be lying to say that I would get all of that black out and the hair would all be lifted to the same stage of lift and all toned to the same tones. It's an unrealistic expectation. And so you've got to be honest with yourself. And more importantly, you need to explain the corrective process to your client and be okay explaining, be okay saying, we're going to be able to get there, but it's going to take 4 services. You and I are now on a journey together. And I love using that example, that expression, because it really is a journey. We are on a journey. We are going to be stripping hair color out. We're going to be lifting your hair color, and we're going to be taking it. And I'm only going to continue lifting if I know that the hair is strong enough to continue lifting. If we get from black hair color and I start lifting it through red, orange, and I start getting into orange, gold, and I notice that the hair is starting to really get weak and the elasticity is starting to snap, and I know I need to take that chemical off, well, that's going to be the right answer. That the client's always going to want hair versus hair breaking off. And so the discussion that you and the client need to come to is understanding that I am going to stop the service today based on the quality of hair. That we're going to start going through and lightening the hair, and you two to decide if you're going to be doing an all over lighter or if you're going to be controlling the damage by doing a really heavy foil, you know, and only damaging the hair that's in the foil and lifting that lighter, right? That's controlled damage. But understanding that when you see the hair getting to a point that the hair, we're getting to the point of no return, that I'm going to take the product off. And at that point, we're going to start doing treatments, and then we're going to start toning. How does the client feel about that? How does she feel not leaving with a medium blonde, with dimensional highlights? Is she going to be okay if we're more at a light brown, a warm light brown? Are we going to be okay knowing that there's going to be 2 or 3 other highlights that she's going to need to come back in and get, along with treatments and along with toners to suit the movement and the look that we're trying to create, and doing it gradually so that we can have time at home to do treatments and repair the hair, as well as perhaps coming into the salon for treatments and repairing the hair in between the highlighting services. See, it's about lifting the hair to a point, but knowing when to stop so that we can start repairing it and then continue again a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks down the road, do another heavy highlight, do treatment, do gloss, do a toner, and then send the client off for the next 4 weeks with home treatments and being able to take care of the hair and rebuild it again to come in for the third service. So if you can see the rhythm of it, it's really you and the client understanding what may happen today is that lifting this black hair color, we may get stuck in an orange, and we may be stuck in that orange until we do the highlight the next time a month from now. And that brings up my point of discussion with clients on doing this huge corrective color. Do we have any major things happening in our life in the future? Now, it's COVID times. It seems silly to ask that question, but of course, we're not going to be in COVID times forever. We are going to be at weddings again in the future. We are going to be at anniversary parties and birthday parties, and we're going to go on bachelorette parties. So you want to make sure that you are not embarking on this huge corrective service right before they have pictures for a very important time in their life. You want to make sure that we're looking at that. You know, I always like to give my client at least a 3-month period before we're going to get into any major anniversary party, birthday party, big picture items that are going to go on in their life, that they're going to have photos or interact with people in an important way. Because the hair is going to be stressed. It is going to be damaged. We are in the process of, you know, taking it from black to blonde, but also taking it from a state of wherever it is now, hopefully not damaged and fried, but we're about to make it damaged. We are putting chemicals on to lift it. I am going to make it weaker. I am going to be drying it. I'd be lying to my client telling her, oh yeah, I'm going to put lightener on the hair because tint doesn't lift tint. I have to use some form of lightener to lift the black out of her hair. I'd be lying to her saying I'm going to be able to do that without any damage at all. You know, you have to be honest. And how many